Hey y'all, and welcome. I'm super excited to be teaching this coaching class today. It's going to be amazing. We're going to talk about inflammation. So I'm super excited. Bear with me one second as I am trying to make sure that the students of this class are able to get to it. It seems like they're having some difficulty. Amazing. I see we got one person here. Feel free to drop a hey in the comments and let me know that you're here. I'm super duper excited. And if you missed this, you can catch it on replay. Today, we are going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff. We are going to talk about inflammation. So I'm super excited to have you here today, and let's get started. Hey y'all, and I'm super excited to be talking about this today. We're going to talk about inflammation. So, what is inflammation? If you think you know what inflammation is, go ahead and drop it in the comments and let me know as we get to talk about it today. So, inflammation is the localized physical condition in which parts of the body become reddened, swollen, hot, or even painful as a reaction to injury or infection. There are two types of inflammation, and we have acute inflammation and chronic inflammation. Acute inflammation is how your body heals itself from infections, injuries. So if you get a paper cut, that would be acute inflammation. A sunburn would be acute inflammation. So these are things that they go away pretty quickly. Now, chronic inflammation is the thing that we have to typically be worried about. Chronic inflammation is when your body continues sending those inflammatory cells even when there's no outside danger. And so we're going to be talking a lot about chronic inflammation today, and I can't wait to get into it. So some of the important signs of chronic inflammation include abdominal pain, chest pain, fatigue, fever, joint pain and stiffness, mouth sores, and skin rashes. So things like chronic, always having stomach cramps, stomach pains, and issues in the digestive tract, having chest pains, having fatigue and being tired all the time, having a fever all the time, if your joints become stiff and hurt, and then skin rashes like psoriasis, that would be more of a chronic inflammation. Also eczema as well. Inflammation has 4 causes, y'all. And so we're going to get into those 4 causes. I see we have a comment. Jessica Lott says, hey girl, and hey Jessica, it is so good to see you, and we're so excited to talk about this topic today because I know you are going to love it. So inflammation has 4 causes, and we're going to talk about each one of those 4 causes today. So the first cause is pathogens. Pathogens are things like bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, any type of foreign body that the body immune system picks up, and they're like, oh no, I gotta fight this, and it starts to send white blood cells to attack it. Other types include physical or chemical injury. So things like trauma, which would be like falling down and scraping your knee, breaking a leg, poking yourself in the eyeball. And that's a trauma to your body. It's an injury. Trauma is an injury, okay? And then sunburn is another form of a physical injury. It comes from the sunlight, which is kind of crazy. Even, I'll tell y'all, people think that Black people can't get sunburnt, but I've been sunburnt twice in my life, and it was horrible. And so your girl always wears sunscreen from here on out. And then chemical burns are another thing. that causes physical or chemical trauma. The next cause of inflammation is tissue necrosis. So that's when the cell contents are being released. So a cell's like breaking down and its contents are being released into the blood, and it causes inflammation. So that's another thing to consider. And then lastly, hypersensitivity. So things like allergies, asthma, skin eczema, and skin irritation, those things are hypersensitivities that we can have that can cause inflammation. So those are the 4 causes. I want to talk about the signs of inflammation. So the signs of inflammation are, there are a couple of these as well. So a lot of us know about loss of function, meaning, oh my God, I just broke my arm and I can't use it anymore. It's got to stay in the cast for a couple of months type thing. And so when this happens, it's either because there's pain or there's swelling, or maybe a bone needs to heal from a trauma, and it makes an inability to move. It prevents you from moving. So that is something to think about. Another sign of inflammation is heat. If the area is hot to touch, if an area becomes too hot due to vasodilation, which is the dilation of the blood vessels from increased blood flow and decreased blood pressure. The other aspect and sign of inflammation that goes hand in hand with heat is typically redness. It becomes red due to the vasodilation. The blood rushes to that area and dilates those blood vessels. Another sign of inflammation would be swelling. It's a buildup of fluids due to the increased membrane permeability. So that means that basically the fluids, the gases are able to pass through the membrane, and it all flows to this area of which you've got an injury or an infection, and it's trying really hard to heal itself. And then lastly, pain. It's an activation of the inflammatory mediators that stimulate nerve endings and tells your body that something's going on in this particular area and you're in pain. Ironically, I was on Clubhouse last night, and people were talking about how you can change your mindset and change your pain. Well, here's the thing. Pain doesn't actually occur in the body. So this is what I mean. If I pinch myself right here, I pinch myself, I can still feel it, but it's my brain that knows. So when we hurt ourselves, it's really the brain that's experiencing pain. It's experienced the sensation that we've been hurt, and it's trying to tell us, oh my gosh, hey, pay attention to this area. You just got hurt there. So it's not actually that the area itself hurts. It's that your brain recognized that that area has trauma, and it's sending you the message that something's wrong through the pain. It's something weird to think about. So honestly, pain is legitimately 100% in our minds. Crazy, right? So let's talk about inflammation, and it occurs when inflammatory mediators are present. So you're probably like, what's an inflammatory mediator? And so a lot of people don't realize this, but one of the most common inflammatory mediators that everyone knows without being a biologist, without being a doctor, is histamine. So histamine is one of the vasoactive amines, and in addition to serotonin, peptides, isocyanates, and all these other proteins and amino acids that actually are chemically released and let our bodies know that we are in pain. So that's one thing to think about. All chronic conditions begin with chronic inflammation. What? Yeah. The area becomes inflamed, and then you have an inflammation issue, and it's rough, right? So common chronic inflammatory conditions include Alzheimer's disease, asthma, cancer, heart disease, any type of arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and AS and type 2 diabetes. So let's get into those causes of inflammation. Cause of inflammations include a few things. I'm so glad that we're going to talk about them today. So we're going to jump into some of the regular things, and then we're going to jump back to some of the health things. So drinking alcohol in excess can actually increase the inflammation that you're experiencing in your body. Being overweight or obese can increase your inflammatory markers as well. Chronic intense exercise or a lack of exercise. A lot of people don't recognize that if you're working out too hard, it's too hard on your body, and that's not necessarily a good thing either. Chronic stress increases inflammation in our bodies, and also smoking. So I want to circle back to some other things like autoimmune disorders where your body attacks the healthy tissue. This is inflammation happening in the body. Exposure to toxins through chemicals in the environment. This is one of the biggest inflammatory causers. Not just pollution, not just industrial waste, but the toxins all around us in our homes, in our hair care products, in our beauty products. These things make a difference. And so it's important that we make it this note so that we can put healthy lifestyles in place. And an untreated acute inflammation from an infection or an injury. So these are things that can really cause inflammation and make it really tough on us to feel good. So you might be asking yourself, well, Kiana, how do we friggin' improve inflammation? And I'm so glad that you asked me that because I want to talk to you about it. So there's different vitamins that you can take to improve inflammation. Things include like vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. They help repair and enhance inflammation. And these things are super important. Another thing you can do is take supplements that help with inflammation. One of the biggest supplements that's gonna, like, you'll hear this from everywhere, the pharmacist will probably even recommend it, is turmeric. Turmeric is known for being the one spice that has the most anti-inflammatory properties. Now here's the secret: you need turmeric with black pepper for it to work. A lot of people just take the turmeric and they think, oh, this is good enough. No, you need to take turmeric with the black pepper, because when you do that, it activates that turmeric and helps fight that inflammation in your body. Avoiding inflammatory foods, so dairy, fried foods not made in an air fryer, the greasy fried foods, okay? I had to amend this because, nobody really uses grease anymore. We all use air fryers, hopefully. I don't have an air fryer. I don't fry anything, but I bake it. I'm old school. I like to bake my food, but, and it's easier, and that way just stick it in the oven and pray to God I don't forget about it and burn it, because that always happens to me. But, using an air fryer is a great alternative for fried foods. Using refined or excess sugars can be really dangerous. If you have gut issues, you may not want to eat legumes, beans, lentils, and things like that, because they're known for increasing inflammation. Things like refined oils and trans fats, Crisco, would definitely cause inflammation. And then there is red meat. That's one of the things to know about inflammatory foods. Make sure that you are using, if you're one of my clients, you have a beautiful workbook that outlines the anti-inflammatory diet, and you need to be following that to a T to see the best results that you can. But ultimately, a lifestyle of healthy eating, stress management, good habits around smoking and drinking, and regular balanced exercise will help us prevent inflammation. So I want to open the floor up and ask if you guys have any questions specifically around any inflammation that you might be experiencing in your body. So we're gonna give it a second here, and we're gonna let anyone ask a question if they got any. Amazing. So, I know for me, a lot of people don't think about allergies being an inflammation problem, right? They don't think about that. And so, when I realized that I needed to control the inflammation in my stomach, it actually really helped with a lot of different areas of my life. And it was so impactful. And I think that's why I'm really gracious to have such a good handle on my allergies and my asthma, because I was managing the inflammation in my gut. And it really, really helped me. I see that we have a comment here. Jess says, I have my asthma. And so, Jess, I'm wondering what triggers your asthma. Do you have asthma triggers? Are they environmental? Are you, for me, I feel like I don't have too many asthma attacks anymore. It used to seem like I used to have asthma every friggin' 5 minutes when I was growing up. I was an asthma kid. I went to a field trip in the 8th grade, and thank God for Miss Teed. Shout out to Miss Teed, because we went to the Dixie Stampede. And I don't know if y'all know what the Dixie Stampede is, but it's basically a rodeo, and it's supposed to be a good time. It's supposed to be dinner and a show. And I had to miss out. I was in there for 5 minutes, and I could not breathe. And my teacher, like, her eyes were just big. She was panicked. Like, she was like, oh my God, I knew you had asthma, and I don't know why I planned this on the trip, because I was specifically in her group. She was my chaperone, my 8th grade math teacher. And so she was like, oh my God, I've got your inhaler right here. And like, we had to sit outside, and everyone got to watch this Dixie Stampede, and I got to watch the cars go by outside the Dixie Stampede. But I got to spend time with my teacher, and we got really close in that moment. So I actually have pet dander allergies that sometimes can really get kicked up. I think that exposure therapy has really helped me kick a lot of those. Also, exercise induced would always knock me off my butt. I was that kid that had to march down to the nurse's office 30 minutes before gym class so I didn't croak in front of all the middle school kids. But luckily, the nurse always had lollipops, so it was a good time. And then another thing for me is cold air. So and this is the one that I actually still struggle with. If I go outside, walk on a winter day, that's when I will go ahead and use an inhaler, because I have not used it and I'm like, oh snap, the cold still gets a sister. And so cold weather definitely triggers me. So Jess has said that her triggers are environmental and exercise induced. I completely understand that. So I absolutely loved having this mini coaching class with you guys. Super quick, super easy, some takeaway information. If you have any questions, Jess, about your asthma specifically, feel free to drop them here. She says, yes, the cold is brutal. And one of the ways to protect yourself naturally from the cold when you have asthma, I'm going to tell you, this pandemic's been a friend. Just stick a mask on. Keep that cold air from coming into your nose and your mouth. Put a scarf over your face. And I swear it helps me avoid having an asthma attack as well. So that's something that you can do naturally to keep yourself protected in that situation. So yes. Anyway, y'all, I'm super excited. And if you missed this video, don't worry. There's always going to be a replay and you'll have access to it. So I'm super excited that we had this mini course today. And I hope that you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.